Hey guys, it's Glenn from glenscarcollection.com, and this is going to be another question and answer video. So the last video a couple weeks ago, I asked you for your questions, and in this video, we're going to do some answers. So I have my notes here of because we did get a lot of really great questions. I would say hopefully I have all the questions. If I missed your question, it'll probably be in an upcoming video. Let's get started here. I'll just go in order. That's probably the easiest way to do it. All right, so Jonathan Brown, longtime subscriber who always makes a comment on every single video. So thanks a lot, John. That helps me tremendously. So I always get questions. That mail truck was going pretty fast. I get a lot of questions from you guys how to help the channel. Remember, subscribe, hit the notification bell, so you get posted every time you get an email every time I post a video, which is every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So if for some reason you didn't get the notification bell, look for new videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and watch them all the way through. And then like them, of course. Always leave a comment below, because that helps in my rankings. And share this video with one of your friends, and hopefully they subscribe too. Okay, so Jonathan Brown had a great question. Now, he has a Corvette. I believe he has a C6 Corvette. And he's asking, because prices will be about the same, should he get the, I assume a used, because prices would be the same, a C7 Z06 manual, or wait for the new C8, which would be the base model, but with the Z51 package? I would go with the C8 Z51. I think I've owned 3 Corvettes. This is way before the channel. I had 2 C4 Corvettes. An Admiral Blue 6-speed manual was one of them, which I had for many years, and I built that into a track car and did probably 100 track days with that car. And my last Corvette was a C5 Z06 in Electron Blue. And typically when the new car comes out, like I believe the C7 Z51 was just as fast as the C6 Z06. So even though the Z06 is a beast, I think, and the C7 was so much better upgrade than the C6, I think the C8 is going to be the same way. I think the C8 is going to be a huge upgrade to the C7, so I would get a C8 Z51 over a Z06 manual. Now, if you're buying a used C7 manual Z06, you know, the C8 is obviously going to depreciate, because remember, they're going to come out with a Cran Sport Model 2. They're going to come out with a Z06 model also. So that is going to depreciate a C8 Z51. I think Jonathan keeps his cars a very long time, you know, 5 or 10 years. So, you know, if you keep the car 10 years and it depreciates, it'll depreciate a lot the first 3 years, then slow down. 10 years, you were the original owner, you know. You don't know how a used Z06 manual was treated. So if you don't care about depreciation or going to keep the car a long time, I would do the C8. If you are concerned with depreciation, like you only want to keep the car 2 years or so, then you could certainly make a case for a used C7 Z06 manual. All right, can't pronounce your name here. It's like 335I LOL or something. Best car for under 60K, and it can't be a car that I've owned, Glenn's Car Collection, so I can't say M2 or 1 Series M, though the 1 Series M's are probably over that now. He had an E60 M5, a 335, an S2000, an H1 Hummer, and it looks like an AMG as well. He lives in the north, so he prefers all-wheel drive, and just like me, he prefers that he buying cars that are already depreciated, and he only keeps a car 1 or 2 years like me and hopes to sell it to break even, which I've done many, many times. All right, so he narrowed it down to 4 cars, and I guess he wants me to suggest some more too. So again, these are all used cars: GTR, S8, RS7, or 2013, 2014 M5. So when I was looking for a daily driver, and we're sitting in the S8 right now, I was considering all those cars. Obviously not a GTR, because I do commercial real estate for a living and I need a big back seat. But for those cars, I mean, the S8 I would only really get if it's a daily driver. I think the RS7 and the M5 are a little more sports sedan, certainly more sports sedan. The S8 I still consider a fast luxury car. But since this is not going to be a daily driver for you and it seems more like a weekend car, I think the GTR would be a good bet, but I would try to find one stock. Even if you want to mod it, I'd try to find a stock one, which is probably impossible, and just do your own mods so you know the quality of those mods and you did them. You'll have the stock parts, you can reverse them. You know, a GTR under 60K, I don't know if you're in the United States or not, but you're not going to get much of a selection, so maybe you want to save a little more and get one under 70K, or you know, do a good PPI and maybe you can find one in those price range. So what other cars would I suggest? As far as holding the value and it's way under 60K, I would suggest an Audi RS4. So here, the RS4 was built in limited numbers and only in 2 model years. And they come with 6-speed manuals, assuming you want a 6-speed manual. And you can get them a lot cheaper. You can get like a really nice RS4 for probably 25, 30,000, maybe the nicest one in the world for 35. And I'm sure selling price, not asking price. I know asking price are all over, but I'm sure you could drive that for a year or two with zero depreciation. Might even go up in value if you really buy towards the higher end of that price range. A nice clean one. What else? I think the AMGs are pretty cool too. Like an E63 AMG, put a loud exhaust on it. I have an E63S review from a 2014 model, which was the first all-wheel drive, and they're in that price range now. They're under 60 grand. They're like 50 grand, give or take. Higher mileage one may even be in the high 40s, and you can make that car into a beast if you want to. Or any 911, you can get a 997 certainly for under 60 grand, and I think they make great cars as well. Let's see some of the other questions we have here as I flip through the pages. Pedro Rivera says, what's a good alternative to the BMW 1M? And he's thinking 2018 M2 or the last year of the original M2. Well, I'm going to say, we can't. The choice here, I think, would be 1M. You can watch my 1M versus M2 video. So assuming you don't want a 1M or they're out of your price range, I would actually go for 2016 M2 because 16 to 18 is essentially the same car. 16 has depreciated for whatever reason. That model year was very short. I got mine in April or May of 2016, one of the first deliveries around here. And I think by June or July, they were already 2017 models. So there was a only couple month window for the 16s. And because people perceive that they're an extra year old, they're a lot cheaper. So, a 2016 M2 you can get for 40 or low 40s for sure. And even though asking prices are much higher, selling prices are about 40, I was offered anywhere from 38 to 35 to trade it in. So a real price for that would be 40. But because there's always going to be a new M2. So the M2 competition right now is going to be sticker price. I know some dealers are charging over sticker. That's going to change in a year, and you'll be able to get those at a decent discount. And then you'll have used M2 competitions, which will push the price of the M2 further. So I like the M2 a lot at 40 grand. I wouldn't buy a 2008 one, an 18 one for 55 because I think it's going to depreciate for 40 pretty quick. And there's always going to be a new M2. So right now we have the M2 competition, which is an improved version of the M2. Then we're going to have a whole new 2 Series. And then we'll have an M2 version of that new 2 Series. And that'll push down the original M2 and the M2 competition. So you'll always be chasing depreciation. So I think your best bet is the 2016 because they've already depreciated the most. But if you want a 2018, go ahead. Great choice, the M2, especially the original one. All right, Mark Baum, who makes a ton of comments on every video, thank you so much. He said, what cars do you want to see back in production? And he gave us a good list, which included the Porsche 928 and the Volkswagen Corrado, and I agree with those 2 cars. So what I'd like to add to that list is the Toyota Supra. Thank you, Toyota, for bringing it back. I'd love to see a new Elise and Exige. Originally, they were going to have that. Then they had an Exige here just as a track-only car. And, of course, being a big Lotus fan and former Lotus owner of the Exige S, I would like to actually see a new Esprit. Lotus had teased us years ago about doing that, and I think that would be phenomenal, having a new Esprit that would be a 911 competitor. And I'd also like to see a new version of my Z3M Coupe Clown Shoe. I don't know what car they can turn into Clown Shoe, maybe the BMW Z5. Maybe if they make an M version of that car, have, a wagon or hatchback version, a new Clown Shoe. Or I'd love to see, and this is not bringing cars back into production, an M5 wagon. In Europe, they got E60 M5 wagons. They got RS6 Audi wagons. I would love to see some kind of RS or M5 model that's in a wagon. Now, that's not bringing cars back, but that's what I felt like talking about. All right, and then from Murray Nash, he said, modding a BMW 1M. So he just got a Valencia orange one like me. He was thinking of doing, the usual mods, intake, exhaust, a tune, and a larger intercooler to make big power. Obviously keeping the stock parks. He wanted to know if it compromised the integrity. Well, I think if you just do bolt-ons like air intake, exhaust, I don't think that does. I mean, you're getting a little bit higher level with a replacement intercooler, but if you put it back to stock, I think it'll be fine. But you know, you are going to stress your engine and make parts wear quicker, so it's something to keep in mind. But enjoy the car. If you really want to mod a car, I would get like an M2 where the value's not going to matter. You might as well mod the hell of that, or 135. If you get a collectible car like the 1M, like I kept the exhaust, and I just have, I mean, I'm sorry, I did an exhaust on mine. That's it, a full exhaust, mid-pipe, cat back, but I kept the original parts and everything else is stock. So what I was just missing from that car was sound. But if you want more power, you can do that. Just keep the stock parts. All right, so whatever. Okay, so I forgot who asked these questions, but favorite car I've ever owned. That's a tough one because I'm probably about 100 cars, give or take. And I would have to say, if I had to guess, it's really close between the 993 Turbo and the NSX. And the 993 Turbo I'm selling for different reasons. Otherwise, I wouldn't sell it. But I would say NSX because I've had two of them, and I didn't even go without an NSX. So I bought my first NSX in 1995, black on tan, in 2012, and I've owned one ever since. So even when I found this low mileage 2005 Long Beach Blue one, which is one of 26, and you know, model year 05 was the last one in the original NSX, and they only made like 200 something cars. I bought that first before I would let the black one go. So I always want to have an NSX. I just think it's the complete car. It has everything I love in the car. Manual transmission, rear drive, mid-engine. And even though I'm not a convertible guy, I love coupes, I like that it has a target top. I think it's a lot of fun driving around in the summer. So that would be my favorite car I've ever owned. Now, favorite car I ever drove, wow, this is tough because I've driven, you know, 500 cars on this channel. But I would probably go, you know, not counting reliability, resale value, or anything like that. Just if somebody said you could drive any one of those cars again, you could do it right now, I think I would pick the McLaren 720S. I had a blast in that car. You can watch that video here, and I would drive one again if they gave me the keys. Now, this was a tough question, a great question, but a tough question. So Diablo Roadster, who makes a lot of comments on my channel, thank you very much, said, top 5 exotic sports cars that I would buy in the 150 to 200 range. So that's great. There's a million choices. But what makes this difficult, he says 2014 or newer with the 12 to 18 month window. So what I think he's saying by that is hold the value. He wants to buy a 2014 or newer car, sell it within 12 to 18 months and not lose money. That's the way I'm taking this question. So originally, if it wasn't 2014 or newer and it was just any car, I would say I think you can't go wrong with an 05 or 06 Ford GT. We have a review on this channel. Doug DeMuro just bought one. I think they will always hold their value or go up. And as far as collectible cars, you know, if you own a collectible car like a Ford GT for 10 years, not going to go up every single year. There's some years it'll stay flat. Maybe 6 years it goes up, 4 years, 2 years it goes down, and 3 years it stays flat. You know, that's how it works. It's kind of like the stock market. So nothing is always 100%. But I think if you keep it long enough, like a good blue chip stock, you should do well with it. So I would also pick, and again, this is not in the 2014 or newer, a 997 GT3 RS. They come in stick, and you know, they seem to be staying around the same price, give or take. But now, as we do 2014 or newer, I would do the Ferrari 458 Italia, 2014 car, either a coupe or Spider. I would do a Spider if you could. They're just under 200,000 now, and I think people will still flock to this car. I don't think it'll ever be a collectible because it's not a stick shift Ferrari, but it's the last normally aspirated one, most likely, and you can get it in Spider. So I think a lot of people, you know, the 488 is much faster. The Spider, I drove Rob Ferretti's car, and you can see that video here, and it is, it's a beast. And money no object, I take the 488 Spider, but I think for, you know, 200 grand less, you can get a 458 Spider, and it's the last normally aspirated one and sounds better than the 488. I think there'll always be buyers for that car, and the coupe version as well, but I think the Spider is your best bet. I'd say 991 GT3 RS. I think these cars are still going to depreciate, but slowly. You know, people were paying 300 counting markups, and now they're like dipping just below 200. So I think they'll dip a little less, but I don't see them as $150,000 cars. You might buy one for 190 and sell it for 180, something like that. I would put a wild card here, a McLaren 650S. You know, these cars were 350 new, and they're in the 170s now with maybe 10,000 miles. And I think they will still depreciate, but not a lot. I don't see a 650S going down the road of the 12C, even though it's based on that car. It's so much better improved and sorted. You know, I see the bottom for those cars probably about 150. So if you can get one for 170 and it goes to 150. Now, if you're looking not to lose any money at all, then stay away. But, you know, I think the depreciation on those cars will be minimal, 5 to 10 grand a year. It might cost you more to run it, but also, and this car is going to depreciate, so I think when you say 12 to 18 month window, you're not thinking that. But I love the AMG GTR. I did a video of that, you can see. And I only was able to drive it around the track, but that car is a beast, and I would buy one in a heartbeat. So there's still probably like high 190s for the Rs, and they will depreciate. AMGs always depreciate. But the AMG GT, the AMG GTS, the AMG GTC, they're going to depreciate at a much faster rate than the R. They didn't make as many Rs. The production is limited. So I think you could, you'll lose some money, but not a lot, maybe 10 grand in that 12 to 18 month window, and it's well worth the trade-off. And then another wild card I made, and they're just, it'll be even hard to find one below 200. I think I found one on cars.com for like 199, but the Bentley GT3R, they only made 99 of these cars in the US, so I think they're going to hold their value. It's the best, most hardcore of the Bentley Continental. And I think the GT3R would be a good price that'll hold its value, certainly for 12 to 18 months. Now, you could also say a 991 GT3 in stick. I know somebody that comes to our Cars and Coffee who got one of the first ones, and he got it at sticker. So he got it from a very small dealership, didn't pay any markup. He kept it for, I don't know how many months he kept it, a couple months, drove it 1,000 miles, and then he, maybe more than that, and he traded it in for 10,000 more than he paid. Now, he paid sales tax, so he really just got his money back, but he certainly drove that car for free. So if you could get a GT3 in stick, and I would go, and so I think I'm giving you more than 5 cars here, so this is a bonus, a GT3 Touring, because it seems like the collectors want the Touring. And if you could get one for sticker price, then I think you could sell and get out of it. I think we got at least 12 months of people still being in line trying to get a GT3 with a manual, so I think the depreciation will be minimal the next 12 months. You know, after 18 months, then I think you're going to start seeing some depreciation because everybody who wants one has one, and then it's going to be kind of a whole different ball game. They'll start to depreciate, especially if people are paying 20, 30,000 over. All right, so thanks, Diablo Roadster. Good luck with that. Let me know what you decide. All right, so I think that's all our questions for this. If I didn't get to you this time, I'm very sorry, and we'll get to you in an upcoming video. Feel free to leave some questions below, and when we do this again, I'll pull from those questions as well. So how can you help me? Everybody asked me that question. Well, like, share, and subscribe. And if you are a subscriber, hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. I always post videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so always check the channel on those days. So what do you do Tuesdays and Thursdays and on the weekends? Binge watch. We have 500 car videos, probably one of the most of any YouTube channels. So let's get the views up so YouTube will push me more, and then that'll help us be shared to new people, which will get us more subscribers. So thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.